TG Geeks, episode 261, February 17th, 2020. Interview of Convenience. Hello and welcome to another webcast from tggeeks.com, where Ben and Keith, the Two Gay Geeks, talk about all aspects of geekdom and nerdery. Sci-fi, comics, film, horror genre, you name it, we talk about it. I'm Keith Lane, and we're coming to you from TG Squared Studios in finally beginning to be nice weather, Phoenix, Arizona.
And I'm Diego De Luca, hiding out in a witness protection program. No, Ben Raggington in Phoenix, Arizona.
And this will all make sense shortly. Let's get on with it.
Prepare for hyperdrive.
Meanwhile, in the Hall of Episodes, the Two Gay Geeks are discussing this.
Well, this time we are talking to New York Times bestselling author Suzanne Brockmann. She is actually the mother of Jason T. Gaffney as well.
We've had him on the show, yes.
And we're going to talk about several things, irons that she has on the fire. Just a few of the irons she has on the fire. Oh, my gosh.
We didn't even talk about we'll leave that for the show.
And then we have our birthday shout-outs. There's some interesting ones this time. Featured podcast of the week and everybody's favorite feedback. A few shout-outs, and then if we have some time in our second segment, we might talk about something.
I saw what you wrote.
Yeah. And then we have a weekly recap and then our regular shout-outs. So let's get to it now. And this time we welcome to the show a New York Times best-selling author.
I have been so looking forward to this one.
Suzanne Brockmann. Welcome to the show, Suzanne.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Oh, my God. It's such a joy to have you on our show.
So the reason that we're kind of talking to you is that you happen to be the mother of Jason T. Gaffney, who we've spoken to about analysis paralysis, and he's got several other irons in the fire. But you've also written a book that is being made into a film and all this other kind of stuff. So...
Wow, where to start?
Where to start? Why don't you tell us about who is Suzanne Brockmann and how did you get into writing and all this stuff?
Because that is one heck of a leap to be, to just go into writing and become a New York Times best-selling author.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was, I started writing after Jason was born. So, travel with me in the time machine back to 1985. So I've got little baby Jason, and I was a stay-at-home mom, and I really wanted to do something creative, to change enough diapers and your eyes start to glaze over. And so writing was something I could do at home, and it was something that I kind of always was a writer. I actually targeted writing romance novels back around 1992. So Jason was around 7 years old at that point. And I found that the romance genre was like kind of perfect for my writing voice. And I sold my first book. It was not the first one I wrote because, you got to learn.
Right.
But I basically launched a career that has spanned now, 25 years. I don't do math, so
right.
How long has it been? Maybe 25 years. And so I've written over 60 novels.
Oh my goodness!
Oh my God!
Hit the New York Times bestseller list.
Yes.
As I was writing, I was paying attention to my child, as good mothers do, and it occurred to me, hey, Jason is a really cool kid, and he's an unusual kid. He's really interesting, and he's probably part of the LGBTQ community. And
so you figured it out before he did.
Right yeah. Well, he was 3. Yeah. I was like, yeah, Jason, you go be Jason. And so I was writing in a genre that was really pretty traditional, conservative, socially conservative, and I was also writing military romantic suspense. I somehow got pushed. I kind of went in that direction, which is a very socially conservative genre in the romance genre subgenre, and I realized that as a screaming liberal, I could put messages in my books, and I would not be preaching to the choir. And so I started really pretty early on in my career. In fact, the very first book that I sold had the secondary character of the town sheriff was an out gay man who was in an open relationship. So this was back in December 1992. I sold this book, and in December 1992, my editor told me, "You got to lose the gay sheriff. You got to make him straight." And I was like outraged, but that was the state of the romance genre at that time, and so I kind of took it upon myself to open that door and to introduce readers, because I knew readers were way more progressive than what the publishers thought.
Right.
And my world included a world where I had gay friends and neighbors. So I really wanted to show a reflection of my world to my readers. And so I worked really hard to include LGBTQ characters in my books, and to push the edge of the envelope as far as I could, have a character, have him appear. Maybe he's off page. It's the heroine's brother who's gay and she loves him. Look at that. Isn't that, that's just
right.
Look, reader, you can have a gay brother and love him and everything will be fine.
Exactly.
That type of messaging. And so I kind of progressed to the point where I was actually able to the publishers were permitting me to actually have gay characters in my books. And for some reason, I just keep wanting to say book today. I don't know why. I've written more than one. But
because you're focused on the book you're writing right now.
I know I am. I'm writing one right now, and I'm very But anyway, so I came up with this character in my it was a series of books called the Troubleshooter series. It was about a team of Navy SEALs. So alpha men, alpha women, alpha, and I created Jules Cassidy, who was an out gay FBI agent and the work partner of one of my biggest female characters, and she chose him to be her partner because he was just so damn good, and he's funny, and he's kind of everything that a gay character was back in the day, witty and a great sidekick, and so I kind of used the stereotypes, but then I really was able through the course of this the series is like 18 books now.
Wow.
The course of the series, I gave him some depth, and I gave him an off-page boyfriend, a live-in boyfriend, and then they broke up, and his heart was broken. My readers kind of grew along and got to see Jules as not just the witty sidekick, but as somebody who was entirely romance hero material. So it was. I kind of worked that into my career, and really took it upon myself to introduce as many readers as possible to a world in which LGBTQ people existed, first of all, and then were real flesh and blood sexual loving people who deserve the same happily ever after guarantee that cis het romance heroes and heroines were guaranteed in a romance novel.
Well, thank you for that.
So that's my writing career. I'm also a film producer. I'm working with my adorable grown-up son, Jason, and we produce LGBTQ movies and TV series. We're branching into TV series with our latest project. Right. So we've done a number of things, starting with The Perfect Wedding back in I want to say 2012, and Analysis Paralysis, which came out last year. Comedy.
Oh my God, that was such a wonderful film. Favorite movies.
Jason and Ed wrote the script. My husband Ed is also we're kind of a family production company, and Analysis Paralysis brought me to life again after the 2016 election. Just the sheer joy of that movie. But so as a producer, it's really cool to be producing movies that I love so passionately.
Right.
So that's kind of me. I'm an activist, but I believe that you can change the world through storytelling and through empathy.
Absolutely.
And through doing things too, like look at my family. I mean, I made it very clear to my readers that I let them through the internet back in the wild and woolly days of the 90s and the 2000s. Here's a picture of my family. Here's my son. Watch him grow up. And then in a book called Hot Target, which was where Jules Cassidy meets the man who's going to become the love of his life, and they get to have their own book together. But in that book, Jason worked with me on an intro, or actually it was dedication. It was a letter that I wrote to Jason telling him that I saw him as a 3-year-old and I saw him as he was growing up, and I know that he is who he is, and love is love, and we basically, I outed Jace with a capital O, but sat down. He was 19, I think at the time, 18, 19, and so I waited until he was 18, so that to give me his consent to do this, and we sat and talked about it, and we had conversations like 6 months later. Now I'm getting ready to send the book in. Here's that dedication again. Let's read through it, and what do you think? Because it does out you. He was out to everyone in his life, really, but this was a public public outing with a capital O, and I felt that my readers, that it would help them, and Jason's reaction was, man, if this having this in this book, if that helps one person, then we win.
Absolutely.
And
right.
The feedback was just amazing. And so I still get letters, emails from people who were touched by that, who learned how to embrace their own children when their children came out to them.
Right.
And because it is really a recipe of how to do it. It's like, I love you, and I've always loved you, and and there's no like added thing, no matter what. That kind of implies, well, if you were a serial killer, I'd love you too. Like, no, I just loved you. I loved you yesterday.
Right.
And dude, I knew you were gay. So
yeah.
So welcome. I'm glad I've been waiting for you to trust me to tell me this. So that's kind of that's me.
Yeah. So Jason tells a story that, I guess,
the night he came out to you.
The night he came out to you.
It's so charming.
It's like, oh yeah. Okay,
fine. Where are your socks?
Where are your socks?
Yeah.
I'm doing laundry.
I wanted to make it normal, right? It's like, and it wasn't until years later that, Jason and I have a great relationship, and we talk about a lot of things, and we're really, it's just a fabulous, I just love the fact that he thinks of me as somebody he can talk to, and but it was years later when we were talking about that, and he said I was scared, like there was a red carpet in our house. There was the balloon drop was ready for him to tell us that, we made it as invite, it's like, gee, that Ellen DeGeneres, her mom is really great and loves her so much. If she were my kid, I'd be so proud of her. We were probably please, Jace, come on.
Yeah. And he was oblivious to the balloons hanging on the ceiling.
Yeah. But the idea that you're, because you hear all these stories as a kid, and he the way he tells it to me is that, he had friends, and he had heard of people his age who told their parents, and then their parents kind of turned into monsters.
Mm-hmm, right.
And that's just like, it's just like heartbreaking.
Right. It
So
happens.
Yeah.
And that's why we run a spot for the Trevor Project on every single episode. So,
yes.
Because that kind of rejection can turn into suicidal thoughts, and
of course.
And it's not worth it. So anyway, enough of that
sad stuff.
So,
but you've continued to write. So you did something a couple years ago or a year or so ago that I just absolutely adored, and I love the idea of just writing a story where we don't have to deal with coming out, and we get to have a happily ever after, and that was like the most offbeat horror comedy in a book called Out of Body.
Yes. And that is actually in post-production right now.
Yes.
That's your book, what turned into a film, is in post-production and getting ready to be released, I think.
Yes, actually, it's the origin story is even more like weird. It started as a script that Jason wrote as a screenplay, and he did a table read for it, and I Skyped in because I was on the East Coast and he was in California, as he is. So I had read the script, and now I heard actors put voice to it, and I. As I was sitting there, I was thinking, I could turn this into something that, because it was very slapstick comedy. It was very, it was more focused on the comedy than the romance. And all I kept thinking was like, you gotta address if there's a character, if there are two characters and one of them thinks the other one is dead, we need to have emotion, and we need to see that, and there has to be real, like, grief, really, in this story, and it seemed like it kind of skated over that. And so I talked to Jason after the table read, and I said, "Hey, can I take a crack at this? Do you mind if I revise it?" And he said, "Sure, go ahead." And I said, "No. Do you mind if I take a machete to it, hack it into a million different pieces, stir it in a big pot, and create something that if you squint, you can maybe recognize your story?"
Yeah, and the screenplay turned into a book.
And well, then what I did, and he said okay, and at that point, I wrote the screenplay, and so I took Jason's story and I changed it up, and so the screenplay actually existed before the book. Wow! But we hadn't gone into production yet, and our production was delayed because there's a thing in indie filmmaking. You do a lot of like, hey, we're filming a movie in our house, and which works out really well for the budget. But if the house next door suddenly is undergoing a massive construction project,
well,
yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that's called a delay. And so that's what happened with Out of Body. We meant to film it in September, and it wasn't until the following March that we actually managed to film it. But from the time that I wrote the script, we set up a Kickstarter to fund it, because again, indie filmmaking.
Oh yeah,
exactly.
We need to have the support of the community to fund our projects, because there's not a lot of studio support for the movies that we want to make.
Right.
And so I knew the Kickstarter was coming, and I thought, hey, I really loved writing this screenplay. Screenplays are not really my forte. What I'd really like to do is take the screenplay and write a novelization, and we can use it as like a Kickstarter reward. We can, we can make it into a book and sell it the way books are sold, and raise a little extra money for the production. And so that's what happened. So the screenplay was written, and then I wrote the novelization. And then, only then, did we, and actually after I wrote the novelization, I approached my longtime audiobook publisher, Blackstone Audio, and sold them the audio subrights. And they had Jason and Kevin Held, his co-star in Out of Body, come in to do the audiobook narration, so it's a really fun audiobook too. Oh, cool. And then we did the production. So when you're filming and things are getting changed, so it is just a really interesting kind of metamorphosis of where the story came from, and how it went from script to book to movie in a kind of unusual way, because usually it's like you write a book and then they make a movie,
right?
Right.
And so this is a little bit different.
It's kind of like Arthur C. Clarke in 2001.
Well, I was going to say, yeah, it's a little like, because 2001: A Space Odyssey was actually, it started off as a short story that Clarke wrote. Stanley Kubrick saw it. He says, I want to develop this into a full movie treatment. He did it with Clarke. It became 2001. Then Clarke came around and says, okay, so let me novelize your movie.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yes, just me and Arthur Clarke.
Yeah, see, we have to put the sci-fi piece into it.
We're such nerds. What can I say?
Well, I'm a science. I almost wrote science fiction instead of romance. It was really just a kind of overview. You could
write a science fiction romance.
Why not do a sci-fi romance?
Yeah,
because I'll tell you this. I know that especially in the indie publishing area, there are. I mean, my God, the number of LGBTQ romance novels in any kind of genre you can want: military, straight drama, opposites attract, horror, paranormal, sci-fi. I mean, it's all there.
Absolutely. The genre is huge as a whole. But when you are involved in kind of legacy publishing, which I was for most of my career,
right.
That's true.
There's a big pressure to stay in your lane, and so I got kind of trapped. Well, that's not quite the right word. I got directed early on into military romantic suspense, which was a great genre for me again, because I got a chance to educate a lot of people about equality, and but it was kind of accidental, because I actually thought I'd be writing rom-coms. That I kind of started out doing that with a lot of shorter category romances, and the books that really hit biggest first were the romantic suspense, particularly military, and then as I moved into the New York Times bestselling author, it's really hard to write something different. I did write a paranormal futuristic book called Born to Darkness, where I got to have a really nice juicy subplot between two gay characters. And it was kind of meant to be the first book in a series, but my readers didn't. The readers didn't come along with me, and so the publisher.
Wow.
Okay, I'm adding that to my list of things to read now.
I think if you're into it's a darkly set futuristic with a lot of cool stuff that happens, but that subplot in particular is one of my favorites.
You are not only a New York Times bestseller, you're an award-winning author, correct?
Yes. I've won numerous awards for a lot of books starting kind of early on. And you just kind of, it's all about like really wanting to, connect with readers and deliver real quality, in the romance genre.
Well, yeah, I think
I guess the most recent was was it Lifetime Achievement? Is that correct?
Yeah, you get it's like, hey, you're getting a Lifetime Achievement Award, and you think, oh my God, I'm old.
I know. It's like, is that a compliment? Yeah, I have to kind of wonder about that. I mean,
check my birth certificate.
I know. I kind of every time I hear about somebody winning a Lifetime Award, I'm like, I'm not sure.
Are they 97 or what?
That's kind of backhanded, I think.
Yeah, it is. It was a little weird. But yeah, I mean, hey, I'm not going to. I took it.
Yeah.
Fine,
so, and then the most current thing that you have going, besides the book that you're writing, and this is kind of what we're kind of here to spend some time on, is you have a Kickstarter that you're starting with Jason and Ed and, I guess your extended family of filmmaking partners.
My son, who is a co-producer, it is so much fun to work with them in terms of creating like really awesome content, and geez, how cool is it that I get to do this with my own son and his husband and my husband too.
Yeah. So you want to tell us about that?
Yes.
Because I got the press release that we're going to do, but we can hear it firsthand from you.
Yeah, we've got a new project coming up. We've done mostly indie movies in the past, but this project is a little bit different. It's a 6-episode first season of a streaming TV series, and it's called Marriage of Inconvenience. It's a comedy. It's a romantic comedy, and it's going to be it's kind of being co-produced by Deku, so it's going to be coming out as a Deku original, probably release looking like the end of this year, so we're It's still really low budget. It's still indie level producing. So as we have always done, we're holding a Kickstarter campaign to help us with the budget and to maybe, because it is a slightly bigger project than we've done before.
Right.
It's but yeah, the story was written by Jason and his dad Ed. They make a really great comedy team. It is hysterically funny. The episodes are going to be about 20 minutes long, but one of the cool things about streaming is that you're not locked into the time. So
right.
if we are a little bit long on some of those eps, that'll be okay.
Right.
But yeah, the production starts. We're filming in April.
Wow, that's
and,
right away.
Let me tell you the log line for it. It's really kind of fun. It's new names, new jobs, new lives, new husbands. Two gay men entering a witness protection program find themselves married to help hide their identities from the dangerous people who want them dead.
Oh,
it's an odd couple for the 2020s.
Yes.
Oh, that sounds bizarre.
A marriage of
Yes.
inconvenience, and the Kickstarter starts on the 19th, which is Wednesday, which is 2 days from now, and you can we'll have a press release about that with the Kickstarter link in it. And what else do we want to say?
Well, about that, I can't think of anything else except to say that you had me when you said witness protection program. I thought, okay, already that's a fodder for some great comedy right there.
Yes. It's kind of where it's like Schitt's Creek meets Brooklyn Nine-Nine meets. It's really fun, and it like all of our other projects, it's set in our incredibly inclusive and welcoming world. One of the things about our production company, or My Pet Hippo Productions, that's the company that Jason started with his husband Matt, and our mission statement is to create stories with LGBTQ characters that don't have any conflict that arises from the characters being gay. So as Jason likes to tell it, there's a lot of stories that focus on coming out because it's an important part of the gay experience, but there's a lot of time in a person's life after that coming out moment.
Exactly.
And there needs to be stories that are told in that moment, for those moments.
Right.
So that's kind of what we do. We don't create conflict. There's no closeted funny stuff. It's all just like, the regular same old hijinks that any other two people who are forced to close proximity with each other have to endure. Right. And they are very opposite. Our David Singletary is the actor who is playing Franklin, who is our version of Felix, and he's a college professor who is incredibly kind of buttoned up and
shall we say anal retentive?
I was going to say very AR.
Yes, very very Felix Ungerish,
Yeah.
And Jason is playing Owen, who is kind of a hot mess with anger issues. So he was kind of a street level drug dealer who kind of gave up his contacts in the organized crime group that he was part of. And so so you get these two men who are very different, who are kind of in a scary place because they're bad people who want them dead, and they have to give up their lives completely and try to create this new life together.
Wow.
And
I can't wait.
The script is awesome. I'm really excited about it.
I can't wait. It's going to be funny to see that. Especially to see Jason in that kind of Oscar-ish type role. I mean, with anger issues. I mean, it's not like anything I've seen Jason do before. So this should be hilariously funny.
Yeah.
So
there's a whole long list. You kind of gave us a preview of the Kickstarter, a whole long list of perks for contributing to the Kickstarter program, which is really incredible.
Yeah, we've got some fun stuff too. Like we're going to be making a blooper reel that with deleted scenes as well from all of our kind of past projects, starting with Analysis Paralysis and Out of Body and Marriage of Inconvenience too. And so that should be really fun. That's something that backers can really only get via our Kickstarter.
Right.
We're also offering a collector's edition DVD of Out of Body, which is in post production right now. It's almost done. We're just on the verge of submitting submitting that film to festivals, which means that it'll only start screening in the summer. So if people want to see an early copy of it, getting a DVD is kind of the way to do it. You get to get it, the collector's edition DVD, and support Marriage of Inconvenience, which is a really fun project and we hope people get behind it.
Yeah. Fantastic. So let's just wrap this up by saying, because you've got so many things going on at the same time, but if people really want to know what is the hot issue of the day, what it is that you're working on, what you're most passionate about at this moment, how can they do that? Is there social media presence that you really like to hang out a lot, be it Twitter, Facebook, a website, or where can people go and find your material as well?
Yeah, I'm a Twitter person. They can find me at Suze Brockmann with 2 N's at the end of Brockmann on Twitter. Jason also hangs out a lot on Twitter, and we frequently tweet each other. Jason T. Gaffney. He's at Jason T. Gaffney. We also have a newsletter that is specific to our movies, and it's tinyletter.com/mypethippo. That's a really good place for people to kind of sign up and get our latest news. I also have a website, SuzanneBrockmann.com. So that's where to find out more.
Oh, this has been really. I mean, we've got to talk to you again.
We absolutely
there's just so much more to talk about. This was a quick whirlwind tour of Suzanne Brockmann here, and what you've got, the irons you have in the fires. So thank you so much for being with us this time.
Well, thank you. I really enjoyed talking to you. It was a pleasure to meet you.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Patricia Chica, director, producer, and here you are listening to my favorite podcast, The Two Gay Geeks. Oh, yeah.
Oh, my gosh. What an interesting...
Talking to Suzanne was just, it was more than I had hoped for.
Yeah, and we actually talked to her just like less than half an hour ago of recording this episode.
I know.
It was just like everything on top of each other here.
Yeah.
But it was lots of fun.
God,
oh my gosh.
I loved talking to her. She's amazing.
I can't wait to talk to her again about other things that she's got going. And I can't wait to talk to Jason and, everybody else that's associated with all of the other projects. But here's a few selected birthdays for February 17th, 2020 through February 23rd. February 17th, Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Guys, such an amazing actor.
Inception, Looper, Third Rock from the Sun. He was actually in Knives Out, too.
He
had a little part in that.
Oh, I didn't know that. What I loved him in was Latter Days.
Yeah.
As the very obstinate and unpleasant Mormon missionary.
Yep.
He was great in that.
And then we have Michael Bay, producer, director, Transformers, Armageddon, as I like to call it.
Is that a dinosaur?
Yes, it was. And Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, lots of TV. And Lou Diamond Phillips, actor, kind of really... He did a couple of little things, and then his big breakout role was in La Bamba. And then Young Guns, and lots of TV, did Stargate Universe, and
He's
Blue
become
Bloods.
a good serious, a very good serious actor.
Yeah. And then Daniel Whitney, a.k.a. Larry the Cable Guy.
Oh, okay. I'm like, I have no idea who Daniel Whitney is, but Larry the Cable Guy? Okay. Yeah. Mater.
Actor, comedian, voiceover. He was part of the Blue Collar Comedy Tour, and most known in his role as Mater in the Cars series. Mm-hmm. And then we have Barry Humphries.
Oh, now I know who Barry Humphries is.
Actor. Dame Edna.
Yep.
Dame Edna Everage. And he was also in Finding Nemo.
Bruce.
Hello. And then he was in The Hobbit as the Troll King.
That's right, he was.
Yep. And then we have Alejandro Jodorowsky.
God, one of the most
filmmaker.
Bizarre.
Oh, my God.
Artistic filmmakers. Very avant-garde.
Avant-garde, surreal, cult cinema.
I still want to see that. Well, I would love to. I want to get that book.
Yeah.
That book that talks about Dune.
Yep. It was, his Dune film would have been 14 hours long.
Oh, I know.
And he is 90 now. He's still alive.
Good grief.
Yeah, but his concept and a lot of the artists that he had working on concept art have made it into, oh my gosh, so many other things.
Well,
some of them made it into the original, into the David Lynch Dune series.
And if you ever see the documentary Jodorowsky's Dune, you begin to realize that when he was trying to make it, that became like a lifestyle. It was it was almost like a commune, all centering around him. I mean, and it's almost like there was a cult of personality regarding Jodorowsky. But through that association, all this great talent was spun off, and they became really established artists and filmmakers in their own right because of that.
Yep, exactly. And then we have Facebook friend Alan Perriello, who is a wonderful artist. And then Jackson Stewart, filmmaker, who made
Beyond the Gates.
Beyond the Gates. And then on February 18th, John Travolta, actor. He did some TV and then was in Carrie. He had a bit part in Carrie.
Yeah.
And then finally made it on the big time, Saturday Night Fever and Grease, and then was in Welcome Back, Kotter, and then all kinds of other things. And then announced Adele Dazeem.
Oops.
At the Oscars.
Ruined his career.
And then also on February 18th, Vanna White.
Oh, my.
Everybody knows Vanna.
If you've ever seen Wheel of Fortune, you know who Vanna White is.
36 years, Wheel of Fortune.
Wow.
And she's done a few movies and TV, mostly as herself.
Of course she has.
Mostly as Vanna White, because she's such a name. And then we have Yoko Ono. What do you say about Yoko?
Not a lot.
Yeah.
Not much to say except Yoko Ono.
Exactly. Yoko Ono is, Yoko Ono. And then we have Milos Forman.
Filmmaker,
he was
right?
a filmmaker. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. He did Hair and Ragtime.
Didn't he also do
Amadeus?
Yes.
Yes. Just a wonderful filmmaker. And then we have Facebook friend Michael Ray. February 19th, Millie Bobby Brown, actor most known for 7 or 11 in Stranger Things. Yeah, 7 or 11 would be in the much Stranger Things.
Okay, you know, she will forever be now known as
7-Eleven.
7-Eleven, well, they call her L, so Seville?
Yeah, there we go. That will make sense why I made that mistake here just shortly. Nicholas Copernicus. He was a Renaissance polymath. He was actually the one that set the sun at the center of the universe that Galileo really kind of came up with. He was actually
I thought that was Ptolemy.
Years and years and years before, but Copernicus was the one that really kind of put the math and everything behind it. He was actually in Poland, so that's why he didn't receive the wrath of the church as Galileo did. So that's why that is. And then David Mazouz. He was actor, young Bruce Wayne in Gotham.
Young Batman.
Yes, young Batman.
So I'm Batman.
Yes. And then we have Merle Oberon, actor, most known for Wuthering Heights. She was a beautiful actress. February 20th, Kurt Cobain, a Nirvana frontman. He was hailed as the spokesman for Generation X, which he actually resented.
I'm sure he did.
He hated that. Had lots of personal demons.
He had mental health issues. It's a shame that he could not get them treated because...
Exactly.
I understand why he got that label. I kind of get it because a lot of the songs sort of reflected that Lost Generation X kind of vibe to it.
Yep.
But I'm sure he just wanted to be a songwriter and a rock and roller.
Yep. And then we have Charles Barkley, basketball player, sportscaster, Phoenix Suns. He was, he only played for like 3 years.
I know, but wow, what 3 years those were.
Phoenix Suns. And actually, I flew in first class with him, like the 2 rows behind him, and on the way to someplace when I was doing a work trip. Sidney Poitier, an actor, In the Heat of the Night. Guess who's coming to dinner? They Call Me Mr. Tibbs, which was kind of the spinoff to In the Heat of the Night. And he's 93 years old. He's still alive. Still alive.
Good for him.
Ansel Adams, photographer. Oh my God.
What do you say about Ansel Adams?
Famous for creating the zone system of lighting. And if you understand light, in photography. That is the most important thing. He did a lot of work in Yosemite because his father-in-law was one of the rangers in Yosemite.
Yeah, but Yosemite it's unlike anything. I mean, there's some places on the earth that just scream at you with how they look. Yosemite being one of them. Grand Canyon being another. I mean, it's no wonder that Yosemite, with its wonderful geography, made such a great area for photography.
Yeah, but it was even more for him because he would live there and he would just go out.
Well, it gave him access.
Lots of access to that. San Francisco, where he grew up, and he traveled, and he was a pianist as well.
Oh, I didn't know.
He had trained to be a pianist, yes. And he was one of his exhibits that we saw at the Phoenix Art Museum, and actually the Center for Creative Photographer at the University of Arizona has the archive of all of his photos and negatives, etc. So they do regularly. They partner with the Phoenix Art Museum, and they did an exhibit with the negative for Moonrise, the one in Hernandez, New Mexico, and it tells a story. You look at the thing and how he printed that. It's just incredible. I can't say enough about Ansel Adams. I've said too much as it is.
Well,
my idol.
Well, but I think there's something. Why does his work keep showing up? And I think because he set a standard that no one has been able to beat since that time.
Yep. And then we have Robert Altman, director, did a lot of TV initially and moved to movies. He did MASH and Gosford
Park.
Yep. February 21st. Sorry, 28. Yeah, 21st. Alan Rickman, actor.
Oh, my goodness.
Die Hard, Harry Potter, Galaxy Quest. Left us way too soon.
Way too soon.
Rue McClanahan.
Golden
actor,
Girls.
Golden Girls. Tyne Daly.
Cagney
and Lacey, yeah. And then Andrei Segovia.
Master classical guitarist.
Yep. David Geffen, co-founder of DreamWorks, a recording producer, philanthropist who is gay, made a name for himself. And then we have Anthony Daniels.
3PO.
C-3PO. And Irma Bombeck, humorist. She lived in Phoenix.
I thought it was Paradise Valley.
Yeah, Paradise Valley. And then February 20... can't forget our Facebook friends Tom Lynn and Lisa Pratt. Happy birthday, Lisa. February 22nd, George Washington, commander of the Continental Army and first president. And then we have Edward Gorey.
Amazing artist.
Writer, illustrator, poet. And to paraphrase something that he said one time, because there were lots of questions about his sexuality. He says, "I've never said that I was gay, and I've never said that I wasn't. What I'm trying to say is that I am a person before I am anything else."
Well, he's absolutely right.
That is absolutely right. And if people would, realize that.
That's
what it's all about.
Absolutely.
And then we have Jerry Ryan.
7 of 11.
7 of 11, yes. 7 of 9. That's why I got confused.
Is that how that happened? Okay.
Yeah. Like, what? Kyle MacLachlan, speaking of Dune.
Yeah.
In The House with the Clock in its Walls. Mm-hmm. He was really great in that.
Oh, well, he's great in just about anything.
Yep. And James Hong, actor, who always played the Chinese guy. I wonder why.
Yeah, but I love
very
him.
distinctive voice
I love
and
him.
delivery.
But he's also got a fantastic sense of comedy, too.
Yes.
I mean, he is amazing in Big Trouble in Little China.
That really pisses me off. And then Marnie Nixon, singer who actually dubbed the voice of
Audrey Hepburn.
Audrey Hepburn in
My Fair
Lady. February 23rd, Peter Fonda, actor, easy rider. His father was Henry Fonda, sister Jane Fonda. Lots of actors and actresses and lots of film in that family. And then we have Georg Friedrich Handel, composer, who wrote, among other things, The Messiah.
But The Messiah is probably what he'll be best known for.
And actually something that's coming up in 2 weeks, I think.
Agrippina
with that's going to star Joyce DiDonato live from the Met on Saturday. You should check it out. It's incredible music. And then we have Majel Barrett Roddenberry. What do you say about her?
I met her several times, and she was ridiculously approachable. I mean, I could just walk right up to her and start a conversation at a con, and she would be happy to engage. Yep. She was amazing.
And then we have Amazon Eve, who we've talked to, and she's a activist.
She is really a spectacular actor. Aside from the fact that she is like ridiculously tall, hence the nickname Amazon Eve. When we saw her in what the movie's now called Chimera Strain, I cannot take my eyes off of her, not because she's just so imposing, but because her acting is just that damn good.
Yep. And that's it for the birthdays this time.
Technorama, the podcast for geeks, because geeks are better than cool. You don't hear someone say, "Get away from me, you cool person." Who's gonna have their 65-inch home theater system installed by the Cool Squad? Not me, that's for sure. How much cool cred do you have? Not enough to care about. Think you'll find any canned unicorn meat at thinkcool.com? It's just a part domain name. They don't even have roadkill in a paper cup. That's why you need to start listening to Technorama, because that's what geeks do. Go to chuckchat.com and listen to Technorama before you turn cool.
Go give a listen to our friends Chuck and Craig over at Technorama Podcast.
I'm Daniel Radcliffe, and I believe that reaching out for help is the bravest thing a person can do. If you are struggling and need support, call the Trevor Lifeline at 1-866-488-7386. It's free and confidential, and trained counselors are there to listen 24/7 without judgment. To learn more about the Trevor Project's life-saving work for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, or questioning young people, go to thetrevorproject.org.
Yes, it's time for some feedback, and the links for each of these things that we're going to be talking about will appear in the show notes for this episode at tggeeks.com. Starting off with, regarding TG Geeks, episode number 256, and this is our interview with Odalie Nanine. We got a comment from John Smith on Twitter. He says, that sounds awesome, and I think he's referring to the play about Frida Kahlo that she is doing. He says, I will check it out. And then, regarding Irreverent Canadian Anti-Comedy Tapeworm to have U.S. premiere at Slam Dance Film Festival. Got a comment from Cheek Art Public Relations. They said, we love TG Squared Studios. Thanks a lot to Keith Lane for this amazing article about Tapeworm heading to Slam Dance Film Festival for its U.S. premiere. And then lastly, regarding Gucci's Chime for Change at Sundance, hashtag Let Girls Dream campaign at Sundance. Got a comment from Patricia Chica. She says, of course, my dears, thank you for sharing this important information. And that is our feedback for this week.
Yeah, you can leave a comment on our Facebook page or on our website on each article as well as on each one of our episodes. There's a comment section down below. You'll have to register, but you can leave a comment there. You can also leave comments on Instagram and Twitter and any place else that you find comments. You can also, like our niece did here a couple of weeks ago, leave a voicemail for us and we will play it on air. You can call 469-TG-GEEKS. That is 469-844-3357. And as always, please play nice. We are huge supporters of independent creators, whether it's filmmakers, comic book artists, writers, or others. Please buy their stuff. And if you see them at a con or whatnot, chat them up, tell other people about them, buy their stuff, have cash for them. Please consider supporting independent creators. Joshua Tree Feeding Program is a 501c3 nonprofit food pantry for the HIV/AIDS community in Maricopa and Pinal counties. They offer a place where clients can select from a wide assortment of nutritional foods to take home. And they set it up like a store, so it empowers the clients to choose the food that they want, so nothing is wasted. Please consider supporting Joshua Tree either through a single or a monthly recurring gift. Go to jtfp.org. If you are trans or are questioning your gender identity, and if you are in crisis or are feeling isolated and need someone to talk to, or you know of someone in a similar situation, there is a special hotline just for you. The hotline is provided by translifeline.org and staffed by trained counselors who are transgender themselves. The hotline in the U.S. is 877-565-8860. In Canada, it is 877-330-6366. Or you can go to translifeline.org to learn about the important work they are doing. Please reach out for help. You are not alone.
Yeah, baby. They're like two gay geeks. They're together, you know. They're two gay guys and they're geeks. Is that okay?
Okay, we got to talk about this.
Yeah, it's one of those things we just have to talk about.
Well, I'll mention that in as far as when we do our weekly review, I will make reference to a 3-episode thoughts that I gave of the Netflix series Lock and Key. But since I had written that, we'd had time to finally get through at least 80% of episode 7, and we had to stop.
Yep. It really showed some promise in the first several episodes. I mean, there were
some hitches in episodes 5 and 6, but nothing to really throw us off.
Yeah, it was a little teenage angsty stuff, but
I could deal with that.
And I mean that sometimes you just have to deal with that.
Well, I was able to accept it given the trauma that these kids had gone through.
Exactly.
I could accept the fact that they're behaving as weirdly as they are, especially with all of this unresolved issues. These kids need therapy in a seriously bad way, but that does not excuse the nonsense we saw in episode 7.
Yeah. And what I call idiot plot, where they just they've written stupid things for people to do that are completely unreal, and they had to write everybody stupid, as you said, so the villain could win.
I know,
and it that really aggravates the heck out of me.
It also screams of lazy writing, and that just there's never excuse to be a lazy writer. There were so many ways they could have done a better job. And I know that at one point they do kind of show that at the end, but by the time they get to the end on that, it's too little too late. They lost us on that. And it's not just you and me. I mean, I'm seeing a lot of people on social media, especially a good friend Claire O'Leary in Ireland. Oh, she hated it. She was very upset with how that series went off the rails.
Apparently, the series of graphic novels is wonderful, but... and apparently they've tried to make it
several times. This is, I think, the third attempt.
Yeah, have just not succeeded at it, and I wonder if they succeeded at this. So,
well, not anyway. In my opinion, no. This was a complete and utter fail. Right as they were hitting the finish line, which is sad.
Exactly. It was really sad.
I'm very, very sad by it, and it left me feeling quite hollow by the time it was all over.
Yep. And that's all I'll say about Lock and Key. And now Ben gives us the weekly recap.
Yes, starting with Sunday, February 9th, Dr. Zombie, Monster Family Physician number 87. On Monday the 10th, TG Geeks episode number 260. On Tuesday the 11th, Ben's book breakdown. The Mortal Vestige is an artistic and fitting coda for the Immortal Wake series. On Wednesday the 12th, Ben's 3-episode thoughts. Netflix's Lock and Key. On Thursday the 13th, Ben's 3-episode thoughts. I'm sensing a theme here. Star Trek Picard. Well, that was nice.
Yeah.
Also on the 13th, we had a busy day that day.
Oh, yeah.
Andrea's Angle, The Photograph, is a beautiful and complex love story. Also, new at Fright Rags, just in time for Valentine's Day, My Bloody Valentine, Dracula, and special reprint of Bride of Chucky. And then on Friday the 14th, Hamish Downey's 5 Questions with Miho of L Japan. And then lastly, on Saturday the 15th, HBO Europe's new sci-fi crime drama, Beforeigners, premieres February 18th.
In the U.S.
In the U.S., yes.
And you can find all these things at tggeeks.com, as well as entries on our Facebook page. And we'll have the links to all of those things in this article's show notes.
Have to give some shout outs. First to the Arkle Times Post Dispatch News for republishing our content from time to time. It is put up by the human Arkle, Brian Weber. You can find the Post Dispatch News by finding him on Twitter, and you do that by searching for Arkle at ARKLE. And speaking of Arkle, he is on YouTube. He is already involved with a Shameless Cash Grab Season 4, and he's already got Episode 1 of Operation Endgame up there. You can find him by going to youtube.com/Arkle Studios, all one word. Also, we must give some shout-outs to a couple of Facebook groups for also allowing us to post our episodes and relevant articles on their pages. First, Two Gay Geeks After Hours. When I asked if we could share our content there, they said, please share away. Their URL is facebook.com/groups/Gay Geeks After Hours, one word. And then to The Gay Geek for also allowing us to share our stuff on their page. Their URL is facebook.com/groups/The Gay Geek. And we must give special thanks to their moderator, Jeremiah Reeves.
Thank you, Jeremiah. And lastly, we're found on Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher, as well as where other fine podcasts can be found. Also, check us out on Krypton Radio at 3 a.m., 3 p.m. Pacific Time on Tuesdays, and listen to their other content. They're a 24-hour geeky internet radio station. Did you like my several podcast voices there?
Oh, yeah, more than one.
Yes. Please rate us and review us on iTunes, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, where you can listen to our episodes and surf the internet on your mobile device and or on your desktop. Okay, that should do it for this episode of TG Geeks Webcast. Be sure to check out the article for this webcast episode. We'll have several links on the page. And remember, you can comment on our Facebook page or our website, tggeeks.com. Or you can leave us a voicemail, 469-TG-GEEKS. That is 469-844-3357. From TG Squared Studios, I'm Keith Lane. Thanks for listening. Please always be kind. Peace.
Cheers.